Heber City will be involved with, we'll be working with their engineering department, is building regulating ponds to offset peak use on our irrigation system. When we deliver to agricultural farmers, this line you see right here is a flow pattern on one of my meters. When it's down, it is daytime. When it is up, it is nighttime. The system was designed to have that line be fairly flat across that screen. But because of residential development and people watering only at night and not during the day, we have these peak uses. And as you've been working on your culinary system, you probably had some discussion on need for storage. But we are going to be working on that. Some of the areas that are causing that peaking on our system are just outlined here in orange, and that's growing every day. So we've our ponds. This is what they look like in the morning. They're almost empty, and then we try to fill them back up by night, so that we're ready for the next peak. Right now our uses are about 15 cubic feet per second higher than they are during the day, which creates a need for about 7.5 acre feet of storage. Long term, as the valley builds out, we will need about 72 acre feet of total regulating storage.
Is there a general, I don't know if this is, watering at night, is that generally better for conservation? Or you just, it seems to me most people water at night because they feel like they're conserving water because they don't use much, or?
Yes, watering at night is actually better for conservation. At least on a residential or bluegrass type basis. I can explain to you the reasons for that, but...
No, I just curious if that was something that, it was an issue of us promoting more equal watering, because there was a misconception perhaps of it better water at night, but if that's not the case.
That is not a misconception, but it does cause issues.
Where's the funding coming from for these ponds?
It's coming from all of our water users. These ponds will be a joint effort between our service districts and Heber City to fund these, or to find mechanisms to fund them. It's likely these will be constructed under funds that are bonded, and then repayment will occur over a 20-year period by water user fees to those that use water on a peak or in a non-demand method.
Would Pennsylvania money that we pay in property taxes to essentially for the water consistency?
Absolutely not. I can't say that 100%. But a cost share of these facilities will be paid by the district. So they pay right now about 40% of our total costs are paid under those type of funds. So we get, because of the environmental importance of this project, we do get some of my salaries paid from those funds. So
This is such an increase in capacity. Do you have any idea how much it's going to cost?
we have some idea, yes.
How many millions?
We are hoping to keep this around $12,000 an acre foot for development of the storage. We need about 59 acre feet of additional storage currently. And so you're looking at $750,000, I suppose.
So not so much. It's not, I mean, even if you double what we have now, it's a lot less than $100.
This is a full build out of Heber Valley. Would be,
Anticipating full build.
that's not up to me.
That just seems a lot higher if you figure that we're at half.
No, we currently have in our 10-year plan about 12.5 acre feet of storage to be built in the next 10 years. And so, this will take place over time as needed.
Can you go back to the other map and show us where some of these ponds will be? I mean, do you have any idea?
We had some ideas. We did an environmental assessment and looked at actually enlarging sites right at our existing ponds. We have our Jordanelle Service District is looking at a potential pond below their treatment plant that they would build for their purposes, and may enlarge that to help with some of these peaking purposes, which would be up just below Jordan Mill Dam. So we're looking at different options right now.
I'm just slow. Somebody explain to me why we need 5 times as much as we have now.
5 times more storage.
Yeah, it's looking at 13.
The reason,
Why we need so much more compared to what we
okay,
have.
well, that's a good question. Right now, we have about 15% of our water use is on-demand type of use. When we started the project, only about 1.5% was on-demand.
So it's a function.
Yeah, 85% is still scheduled deliveries, which they water the same during the day as they do at night on these farm systems that you see. But as those farmlands convert over, a higher percent of our water use will be at night and not during the day. And that's what creates that need to have a regulated storage. So,
Unless you restrict the water times of the residents.
That was the basis of my question, if this is largely instigated because of watering patterns being influenced by everyone's trying to water at night. That was the premise of what I was asking, whether it's conservation versus long-term costs in order to make that the standard of living. So I'm still debating that. Is it worth moving to a money method that's not as right versus building this build out at the cost of exactly. That's what that's why I asked.
there's one good thing in the summer is power costs less at night than it does during the day.
I'm also wondering if you're going to build this much capacity in the ponds, how does that affect aquifers? How does it affect the people on wells in the valley?
That capacity should not have an impact, any additional impact to groundwater or surface water than it does now. So,
As far as the public lines,
they would-
a lot of water flows
We-
through the dams.
we do currently for the groundwater, any water that's been exchanged, including Heber City's water shares that used to be surface rights that they have exchanged and put into the city well, we still divert that water from the Provo River, and we dump it at strategic locations to get it back in the ground, to just allow it to percolate into the ground for a recharge, a groundwater recharge program that we operate. So we're trying to balance that. If Heber City pulls 100 acre-feet out of the ground, based on those water rights, we will try to deliver that 100 acre-feet back and put it down dry stream beds or in some overflow ponds that we have to replenish that aquifer. All right, just one interesting thing of note is in really wet years, if you look at 2011, which is the third year to the right there, in wet years, when we have all the water we need, we do not deliver very much water. Nobody wants it. But in really dry years, like 2012, we don't have very much water, as our deliveries are much higher, as everyone wants water. And so that's kind of one of the challenges we have to deal with is when we don't have much water, everybody wants it. But when we have tons of water, nobody seems to want it. So that's interesting. One thing of interest to you, we have tried over the years always to keep our costs down, and we've noticed in the last 5 years our costs have increased at just over 2% per year, which we don't think that will continue that well, but hopefully it does. We will do our best to try to keep that down. So if there's any questions or other discussion, that's all I want to do is just give a quick update of what we're doing.
I just have one question for you. Can you find some money to do a pressurized irrigation system out for grant? Please let us know.
Absolutely. I know we worked a few years ago on submitting a grant. I think some of the program managers did not prioritize a Heber City secondary system very highly actually probably because of our project and the money that's been put into Wasatch County. We're moving some of that money around for a few years. But of note, we do deliver we're projected this year to deliver about 500 million gallons into Heber City's secondary system. And that's to about just over 2,000 units that have secondary water available to 300 ditch users within Heber City. We were projected to deliver over 700 million gallons. And so the efficiency of water delivery on these flood ditches is very poor and is a big waste of water. So we will this year, we're scheduled to deliver about 1.2 billion gallons of water into Heber City.
Did you say million?
Billion. 1.2 billion gallons of water into Heber City for irrigation use. So you guys are a big water user and your residents. So I really appreciate your time and thank you for letting me come.
Sorry, one more question. Do you feel that there's any need for any sort of watering restrictions right now, since we're still in a low water year, it seems? Other cities have turned to that, even new watering. What do you think?
There's always a need for wise water use. And I think this year in our system, we will need to be smart in our water use, but I don't know that we need to stop our water use or reduce it at this time. But we will be, and you'll notice, if you live out in the county anywhere or have a farm, we will have people out closing off leaky lines or hoses or problem areas and making sure people only use their allotted amount of water.
Sometimes when you restrict usage, people use more.
That's an accurate statement.
Because they want to make sure they get their share.
All right, well, thank you.
Just one question about the effluent water coming from Jordanelle. What's the update on that? You were mentioning all the ditches that go through Heber and everything. That should be on the City Council's radar screen as far as the effluent. What's the latest on that?
Currently there's no request for us to convey effluent water. However, we do know that Jordanelle has a treatment plant that they would like to reuse the water and deliver it primarily to the Red Ledge area for reuse, which could, if they make that application and it were approved, it could commingle with the waters that are used for irrigation in the valley.
Well, the ditches that you just did the concrete on, that you showed all those pictures, I thought that's where it would be coming down.
Some could come down that way if that were approved.
So that would go through Heber City?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, I have one quick question for you. Does the CUP, are you allowed to use the Colorado River water because it's in Wasatch County? Because isn't the Strawberry watershed goes to the Colorado, right? But our watershed really flows to the Provo and ultimately to Utah Lake, which has no outlet, right? So how is it that you guys can use the Colorado River water? And then the second part of the question, when you're, with all the canal lining and stuff, you're saving some water, does that go back to the Colorado, or where does that saved water go?
Couple questions there. So the Central Utah project developing the Colorado River supply, in the Colorado River Compact, the state of Utah was given 1.5 million acre feet allotment in the upper basin. And the Central Utah project is the agency, or the Central Utah Water Conservancy District is the agency that was to develop that water supply and bring it to the Wasatch Front. And so that it is Utah, this water that belongs to the state of Utah. None of it actually comes through this part of Wasatch County, but it does go to water right owners on the Provo River that live downstream of Wasatch County by way of through Strawberry Reservoir and through pipes and tunnels to that area. And by doing that, then we were able to keep the water they used to use up in Jordanelle, and then call it Central Utah Project water, and people here in the valley are able to use that. But it is, Wasatch County was able to acquire an allocation of that Colorado River water that the state of Utah has.
And so then with all the lining of the canals and you're saving water, right? You're becoming more efficient, so where does that saved water go now? Because it's not going down the river anymore, right?
Right. So saved water is we really look at it as conserved water, which is the difference of the water we would have needed had the ditches stayed the same and we continued to flood irrigate. There was this amount of water needed. Now, under a pressurized irrigation and line canals, we only need to divert this much water. So that difference between the two waters now is stored in Jordanelle Reservoir and then is released for a few main purposes. One, the first purpose we have to meet is to protect downstream water right waters on the Provo River. And then second to that is we can use it for environmental purposes, primarily in-stream flows in the Provo River to maintain a healthy habitat and riparian area along the river. So we do use some in local streams as well, and Spring Creek has also been restored to its natural flow in the Strawberry River. So, and that's all we can use it for. We cannot use it for other consumptive purposes. So only for non-consumptive purposes that then flow downstream of the Provo River.
Could I ask you one more question?
That's up to these guys. You okay?
Well, what we'll do is we'll let you, you meet with Devin first.
Okay. I was just curious about that Colorado River water.
All right. Thank you.